Once you understand a placeholder, a flame keeper, an edge walker, once you understand their strengths and their shadow, you can fully increase how effectively you're communicating with someone, and a change initiative can go much more smoothly rather than being annoyed that someone is saying, "Ugh, well, we tried that before and that didn't work." Hey everyone, it's Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. We tried that and it didn't work. Let's not reinvent the wheel here. Why fix something that isn't broken? Have you heard those statements in the workplace before, or have you said some of those statements in the workplace before? If you have, you would be falling under the placeholder archetype in how you respond to change and what your relationship to change is. Maybe. Hey, it's Amy. Welcome back to Create Magic at Work. If this is your first time tuning in, you're arriving at the perfect moment. This summer, we're diving into a solo series exploring how people move through change through the lens of a powerful model that all of the executive coaches utilize here at Create Magic at Work called the Archetypes of Change. There's a small percentage of coaches in the world, actually, that are certified facilitators in this model, and it's incredible. And we use it with organizations in the workplace. So I'm giving you a taste throughout the summer of each of the archetypes. So if you missed last week's episode, go back and take a listen to the overview of the archetypes of change. Today, we're talking about one of the 5 archetypes, which is the placeholder. So these aren't personality types. They are archetypes, and they describe your contextual orientation, the patterns of behavior we shift in and out of depending on the situation. And they help us understand why change initiatives in the workplace often fall flat. And it's not because people are resistant, it's because we're not paying attention to how we naturally relate to change. What is our relationship to change and also to time? So, as I mentioned before, there's 5 archetypes of change: the guardian, the placeholder, the heart tender, the flame keeper, and the edge walker. Each represents a different relationship to time and change. And we all carry aspects of each of these, but most of us lead with 1 or 2 depending on the situation. So for me, I've noticed my relationship to change and time shifts based on the pressures around me. I tend to score pretty high in the edge walker area when I take the archetypes of change assessment. I can leap towards the future. I can vision, and we'll get into the edge walker archetype in another episode coming up in the solo series. But other times I find myself clinging to what's worked before, trying to replicate what's worked for me before. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But learning to recognize how I respond to change and what my relationship is to time has really helped me become more conscious in how I lead and support others through transformation, because it takes us out of the space of I'm right and you're wrong, and it shifts us into the field of possibility and understanding where everyone's coming from. So let's get into it. Today we're talking placeholder. I'm going to begin with a story, and as I share this story, I want you to think of someone, it might be you, that this might be describing. And this is a placeholder story, the story of the placeholder. So we'll call her Teresa. Teresa was the director of operations at a growing logistics company. She'd been with the company for over 15 years, longer than any of the current executives. She wasn't flashy. She didn't jump into new trends, but her team always hit their goals and achieved what they needed to achieve. When a crisis hit, everyone would turn to Teresa. Then one day, her company decided to change to a new inventory management system, and Teresa was not having it. She was weary about it. She didn't oppose it outright, but she asked careful, grounded questions like, what's the timeline for this rollout? Has this been tested before? Can we test it with our legacy clients? What happens if the system goes down during our peak times? Her CEO got really frustrated with her, and he felt like she was slowing things down and resisting progress. So her team was leaning on her, and she had a really strong ability to create stability in chaos. And when the implementation of this new system ran into bugs as she predicted, Teresa had already created a fallback plan to avoid customer disruption. How cool was that? So the executive team finally saw that Teresa wasn't resisting change. She was protecting rhythm. She was grounding the transition. She was honoring what's worked in the past while making room for what was next. That's a really great placeholder archetype way to be. But the placeholder also has a shadow side, as all these archetypes do. Here's the shadow that maybe arose in this story with Teresa. Because she didn't self-promote, her influence was often invisible. Because she valued stability, sometimes she waited too long to speak up. And because she held so much together, she rarely felt seen. So that's the placeholder archetype. Placeholders provide stability and predictability to the organization. They're the ones you work with, or maybe you are, that hold boundaries, keep rhythm, make sure things don't spiral into chaos when change is underway. Their strengths are really that they can bring that grounded feeling to transitions and change with some practical wisdom. They can honor past practices that still work, and they can create foundations for innovation to actually succeed. Hey everyone, Amy here. Let's talk about work realities for a second. Whether you're dealing with a tough boss, struggling with team miscommunication, feeling stuck in decision making, let's be real, work drama exists and it's exhausting, but it doesn't have to be this way. At Create Magic at Work, we help leaders like you cut through the chaos, build next level communication skills, and make better, faster decisions without the stress spiral. Whether you're leading a team or just trying to keep your sanity at work, we've got your back. We coach executives and teams like yours to develop interpersonal savvy, drive engagement, and bring your vision and purpose to life so work actually feels energizing again. Imagine that. More engagement, more productivity, less drama. Our executive coaching team has been in your shoes. We've led teams, navigated workplace challenges, and know what it takes to help you succeed and achieve your goals. Real experience, real talk, and real results. If you're thinking, yes, Amy, we need this at my work, then let's talk. Click the link in the show notes and let us help you and your teams become a high-performing, engaged, and productive force of clarity and calm. I'll see you in the Zoom room. Let's throw the stress and drama out the window. Click on the link in the show notes. So amazing to have a placeholder on your team if you're an edgewalker, right? We'll get into edgewalker in a future episode. But here's what can happen in that shadow side of the placeholder. Let's say they're over-indexing on being a placeholder. They can resist change without fully understanding the change initiative. They can just be like, nope, we've tried that before. It didn't work. I'm not doing it again. I've seen that fail before. They can also amplify fear or frustration if they feel excluded from decisions. So they can fall into that victim mentality a little bit. And then that can ripple into their team. And they can also hold on to the good old days, the way things used to be, and block progress if they're holding on to that and influencing their team in that way. And, I think a lot about the placeholders now that AI is rolling out. I wonder if we're seeing, I mean, I know we are, but I wonder if all of you are seeing the placeholder shadow show up with AI. Like, ooh, this isn't the way things used to be. I'm going to block progress because I feel like I'm going to lose my job and this is going to replace me. And then maybe there's some amplification of fear or frustration on a team rather than what you can do if you're a placeholder, if you're working with a placeholder, honoring past things that have worked and creating a nice backup or a foundation for this new innovation to succeed. So placeholders aren't pessimists, they're realists. And some of them have been burned by change that was done poorly. So their questions and caution come from experience. And they often carry a deep memory of the organization's original values and working systems. This is what I find so incredible about the archetypes of change, because once you understand a placeholder, a flame keeper, an edge walker, once you understand their strengths and their shadow, you can fully increase how effectively you're communicating with someone, and a change initiative can go much more smoothly rather than being annoyed that someone is saying, well, we tried that before and that didn't work. You can understand that person might be coming from a place of fear because they've been burned before by a change done poorly. So you can be like, okay, and then you can navigate the conversation from there. So let me ask you, do you know a Teresa? Do you have someone in your organization who always knows the system that actually works? Do you have someone that never makes a scene but is always the one you call when things get shaky? Or maybe you are the Teresa. Maybe you're the one asking thoughtful questions while everyone else is jumping ahead. That's not resistance, that's wisdom. And in executive coaching, that's where we begin. So at Create Magic at Work, we work with companies to implement the archetypes of change, not in a generic workshop, but in real time, high trust executive coaching spaces, one-on-one and group coaching. We help teams understand their archetypes. We help organizations understand their archetypes. We map the organization's dominant patterns, and then we coach leaders like you to step into better decision-making, better communication, less stress, and less frustration. So if this series is lighting up something for you, I'd love to hear from you. Our coaching team would love to hear from you. Reach out at any time. Go to createmagicatwork.net or just email me directly, amy@createmagicatwork.net. Next week, we are going to explore the Guardian archetype. So we're going to move into the second of the 5. No particular order. The Guardians are the ones scanning the future or scanning the horizon for what could go wrong. They're often misunderstood, but they carry a powerful protective energy for the whole system. So until then, take a look and see if you can notice the placeholders in your world. Notice their gifts and maybe ask yourself, how can I honor stability while still embracing change? I'll see you next week. Hope you're having an amazing summer. Sending magic to you. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen to a new episode of Create Magic at Work and really helping to support and advocate for healthy leaders, workplaces, and lives for all of us. If you want any information on how to connect with me, click on the link in the show notes. You'll get access to all of the social media links for Create Magic at Work. Stay following along for more amazing episodes where we help you improve productivity and profitability in the workplace and decrease stress. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.